Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Are you stoked? We're about to crack open a pack. I'm gonna open a base set pack and pull a base set Charizard. What is up, Heart Squad? I'm about to pull a base set Charizard. Just kidding, I don't have money like that. What do you think? What do you think, I am a rich guy? No, we're talking about $2 cards today. Are you looking for hot singles in your area? Well, too bad. These singles in your area just have really good personalities. Without further ado, these are 25 cards for $2. First up, we have Absol. This Absol is a nice card. The artwork really stood out to me. It popped off of TCG Player. I just looked at it and I was like, man, this card really, for some reason, grabbed my attention. I don't know if it's just the light colors combined with the dark colors of the sky and the contrast really brings it out, or maybe it's just the painterly look. It's got this kind of soft, almost like the Star Trek filter, like that soft, diffused look. And I like the storm clouds in the background. These circular, dark storm clouds is very cool, very moody, and there's a trail leading up to the storm clouds in the background. It's just an interesting looking card, and I like it for under $2. I mean, I think for under $2, that's pretty good. Here's some of the chart information. If any of this is interesting to you, you can check it out. But yeah, that is what you're looking at. You're looking at under $2 for this Absol, so not bad. Next up, I got this beautiful Arbok. This Arbok is pretty nice. I do like this artwork, and it's slowly starting to grow on me. I think it's really cool to look through the leaves, and you have that nice framing. And any Pokemon card where there's a big shot of the moon in the background, I mean, I'm a fan. And something interesting about this, aside from the framing and the moon and the fact that it's a Gen 1 Pokemon that everybody likes, it's this toucan. We got a toucan sitting here, and I think that's really interesting, the fact that there's just a regular animal in the card. You see cards with a lot of different Pokemon in them sometimes, but to have a Pokemon card with just an animal in it, I feel like that is interesting. And unless I'm forgetting some, I mean, this doesn't happen super often, so let me know if there's other Pokemon cards where there's just like regular real life animals in them, but I thought that was pretty interesting and unique. And if you care about checking out the chart, here it is, near mint hollow foil in Japanese, around $1.89, $1.97 for the market price. It's not bad. It looks pretty good. So yeah, Arbok. Following that, I'm going into this Caterpie. This card's underrated. People don't like this card. I don't know why nobody. Why does nobody give this card respect? Is it because it's a Caterpie and you hated seeing Caterpie 5 million times when you played Pokemon Go? You just wanted to see a Gyarados or something cool, and you just kept getting a Caterpie or a Rattata? Is that why? Is that what it is? Because personally, I don't understand the hate. I think this artwork is dope. We got the Caterpie nice in the rule of thirds right in the corner there, and then we get the nice framing again, shooting through leaves. Another one, I guess I'm a fan of that as well. But we're shooting through leaves, and you see the little Caterpie's head. We got this little Caterpie's head right there, just peeking through the leaf while he's munching, like, oh, hey, what's up? I don't know. I like it. It's flattering. It's charming. I think it's a nice design. It's got a bunch of different Caterpies in there. There's like 2 or 3 in there that I'm looking at. It might be 4. It might be 4. Is that one? Look at that. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I think that's a little Caterpie butt over there. So yeah, it's a cool card. I like it. I think it's great. It's a lot of green. It might not be for everybody, but personally, I do think that this is one of my preferred artworks of the 151 series, which I know is crazy. I've talked about this beautiful card before, but you guessed it, we're talking about Cuon again. This Cuon is really awesome. I personally don't care about the Pokemon Cuon. I don't really have any kind of allegiance to that Pokemon, but as far as the artwork on this goes, it's really good. I love the use of the colors, the fact that the Pokemon really pops off. The orange and green in the grass really does a great job of separating the Pokemon from the water and the sky in the background. And on top of that, the water arching over the Cuon's head, as well as the rainbow arching over the Cuon's head, does a great job of center framing the Pokemon. It just looks very well framed in the center, very symmetrical. And speaking of symmetry, I love these Cuons on each side of the Cuon, because it leads your eye into the image. You look at the first one, then you look at the one on the right, then the one on the left, and it really leads your eye into that image, making it a lot more dynamic, and I really appreciate that. And on top of that, I really love the water, the ripple. It just looks great. The card overall, I think the artwork looks great, and I was surprised that it was super cheap. I mean, you're looking at prices here for around $1. Near mint hollow foil Japanese, $1.16. that is very cheap for an artwork that I think is really, really good. Again, I'm not like a major Q font fan, but it's a very nice artwork. EX cards. I know people they're not the most exciting cards, right? But I gotta say, this Eevee EX is looking pretty good. This Eevee is really nice. There's a couple of these cards in the Terrastal Festival, the Evolution EXs that you can get for cheap for around $2 or less, but I decided to go with this Eevee just because I think that the colors really pop. The orange really does a good job of separating from the background again, and I like the fact that it's Eevee. I mean, everybody loves Eevee. Everybody has a favorite Evolution, but everybody gives Eevee a little bit of respect because Eevee's the OG. If there was no Eevee, there would be no Evolution. So even though everybody tends to like an Evolution the best and blah blah blah, I feel like everybody has a soft spot for Eevee, and for that reason I chose this card. But like I said, there's a bunch of different cards from the Terrastal Festival set, the Evolution EX cards that you can get for around this price point. And this actually took a huge dip recently, which I'm not surprised because, you know, the set just recently kind of came out and people are just starting to like have fun and Prismatics going crazy and blah blah blah. But for around $1.26, $1.33, I think that this card is a really good price. How many full art execute cards do you know of? How many? Go ahead. I'll wait. This is a wristband. This is a brace. It's not a, I don't even know. What am I saying? Execute cards. Not a lot of them. I like this artwork. I feel like it's cool. This everyday, again, another everyday Pokemon in real life, just hanging out, chilling. They're hanging out on the basketball court. I like it. There's not a lot of execute cards. I feel like execute doesn't get a lot of respect because it's a pile of eggs and people just don't give it a lot of respect. But at the end of the day, this is a execute card, and there are not too many of them, and it's a Gen 1 Pokemon, so I gotta show it a little respect. And it's a relatively new card. This card is in Paradise Dragona, which is one of the most recent sets, so it does definitely have room to grow. But yeah, it's $1.77, $1.80 give or take, so that price is pretty good. Again, I mean, all these prices, they're all, I'm gonna stop saying that because this is a $2 video. If you're paying $2 per card, it's not a lot of money, so I should stop saying that the price is pretty good. But yeah, it's like $2. Fletchinder. Never heard of this Pokemon in my life before, but I gotta say, I love the artwork. It makes me feel warm and cozy inside. I feel like I'm up next to the fire with this guy, so check this out. Now, I do not know this Pokemon. I'm not affiliated in any way with this Pokemon, but I do think that this Pokemon is a beautiful one. I like this card. I like how he's sitting up close to the fire. I just really enjoy the look of this card, the warmth, the blacks, and the kind of vignetting that bring you to the fire because the whole scene is just lit by the flames. I feel like that use of shadow does a good job of vignetting. And I don't know. It's a nice card. It's a nice card that stood out to me, and it's dirt cheap. Again, they're all super cheap, but this is one of those ones that's like well under $2, and I feel like in these days, that's like a crazy thing. That's absurd. And recently, according to this chart, it says it's down like 34%. So if you like this artwork, now's probably a good time to buy it. This is from the Clayburst set. Yeah. Next up, I got this Galarian Zapdos just absolutely bullying this Dotrio. So if you're a Dotrio fan, maybe you don't like this card. Or maybe you do. Maybe you're like, hey, there's Dotrio in it. Galarian Zapdos. I don't know if I really, really love this card. It's like, I like it, but it hasn't fully grown on me yet, but it's definitely interesting, and it stood out to me, and I think it's a good deal because it's like super dirt cheap, but I like this card, how he's kind of bullying the Dotrio, it looks like, and it's just an interesting card that stood out to me. So Galarian Zapdos from V-Star Universe, you know, it's like $1. So, and according to this chart, it's down 21, almost 22%. So yeah, Galarian Zapdos, I like this card, and it's interesting that a Zapdos is a fighting Pokemon. I feel like that's weird, right? A fighting bird Pokemon. That's interesting. That's just weird. It's like the fighting horse Pokemon. It's like, how do you anatomically? How is this convenient for you? Are you gonna flap your wings on something? Like, how is this range of motion good for fighting? You know what I mean? Like, just interesting choices. But whatever. Galarian Zapdos. It's a fighting Pokemon. I do like this card artwork. It's interesting, and it kind of reminds me of like a map on Overwatch. I forget the name of it. Okay, I know I know. Another EX card. Why don't? Oh, what's next? Cards under 50 cents, and you're just gonna list a bunch of EX cards? Wow, dude, what an informative video. But listen, this is about artwork. This is about cards that I like, and I gotta say, I am a big fan of this Gengar EX. This is the mascot for this video. This is the card that I put in the thumbnail. Now, a lot of people are probably going to find this to be one of the more boring cards on the list just because it's an EX card, and I feel like the full arts is what really gets people's attention. Full arts is what people love, and this is not a full art, but I do really like this artwork. As far as Gengar arts go, this is one of my favorites. I love how he's reaching over the card description. It's just a great artwork in my opinion. I like the blue swirls around him. It's not super color contrasty, but there's enough color contrast with the darkness of the purple and the lightness of the blues that you know, it does pop enough, but it also kind of blends together. So I like the card a lot. I think that the blues and purples go well together, and I just think it looks great. And I know it's an EX card, but I really like it, and it's dirt cheap, and it's on the list. The next Pokemon I'm talking about is we gotta say it together, okay? You say it with me. Ready? Jinx. Haha, I got you. You owe me a subscribe. Click the button, please. Please hit the button. This Jinx artwork is very interesting and unique. I like how the light and the shadow really does a good job of separating the subject from the foreground. It's a great job. There's also that shot of the mountain in the background. I think it's a good looking card, and it also has a very unique kind of cartoony style. It has that very I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like cell shaded. Was that the proper term? Either way, love the card. It's beautiful, and I think that it is, I mean, sub $1. It's below $1. I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan of Jinx, but for below $1, this is a nice card. And again, if I want to make some kind of custom 151 set where I have like a full art modern card for each 151 Pokemon, this is probably going to be the one I pick, because how many Jinx artworks are there out there? There might be a lot. I don't personally know, but if you know of a better Jinx full art out there, please leave it in the comments, because I would be interested to see it. Next up, I got this Kingra. I've talked about this in a previous video, but I do like this card. I think it's nice. It's a VMAX Climax card. That set is just a strong set. As far as Japanese sets go, I think it's one of the stronger ones. This Kingra looks awesome. I've talked about this in a video previously, but just the way it's like coming upstream and the trainer's hanging on to it, I just like the look of the card. And again, this is another card that does a great job of kind of framing the Pokemon inside those orange fall leaves on the side, and I think it's a really good looking card. I talked about Cleaver before, but I'm going to talk about him really quickly. Again, this is a Scyther Evolution. This is a dirt cheap card. This says 57 cents for a near mint holo foil. That's crazy. What does it say down here? $1. So it's like $1 for this card. And as far as the artwork goes, I really actually like it. I'm not a huge fan of this Pokemon. It's not like my favorite Pokemon, but I saw this artwork and it really popped out to me. I like the kind of gradients of greens and yellows we have. We have this like dark kind of aqua color up at the top, and then it goes down to like a green in the center, and then more towards like a yellow by the Pokemon trainer, and then we even get some like pinks and blues on the bottom. There's a very interesting gradient of colors going down the card. And on top of that, I just love wide angle warped kind of stuff. I'm a photographer and I love shooting like wide angle warp shots for certain things, and I think that this just perspective on Cleaver, where the Cleaver is like coming out towards the camera and it's going over the trainer, it just looks badass. I like it a lot. And yeah, it's like $1. This card is super underrated. I don't care what people say. Nobody talks about this card. I know I say that a lot, but nobody talks about this card. This Lapras is beautiful. It's from V-Star Universe. It's around $2, and I don't understand why. Am I the only person that thinks that this is a nice card? I mean, look how many different Pokemon there are in it. We got some on the left. We got some on the right. We got some in the sky. There's Pokemon everywhere. We got the Pokemon that you want to see nice in the foreground, and it looks great. It's an underwater shot. We also get some of this nice sun peeking through the clouds there. I think it looks fantastic, and it's $2, and nobody likes this card, and I'm just assuming it's because it's Lapras, which is another one of those Pokemon that isn't like a Lugia or a Charizard or like a Gengar, where everybody's like, oh, I love that Pokemon. It's like one of the more quiet Pokemon that has a smaller loyal fan base of this is my favorite Pokemon people, you know what I mean? But in general, yeah, I mean, Lapras isn't my favorite Pokemon, but I love this card art. I love the card art, and if I'm going to make my own custom 151 set, and if you want me to make a video doing that, let me know. But if I make my own custom 151 set, this will be the Lapras card that I pick. I mean, I'd have to look through all the artworks and check, but this is a beautiful, beautiful Lapras card, and no one talks about it, and it's $2. This Lunatone is another beautiful card. I really like this artwork. It's got this painterly feel to it, and it reminds me of just like a bedtime story or something. I don't know why. Does that make any sense to anybody else? I don't know. That's just the vibe I get here. And I think it's really nice. It's a nice card. It's a good looking card. The colors are nice. It's a nice, the center of attention. There's not too many distractions on the bottom of the frame. And again, you get a little bit of that vignetting with the darker flowers in the bottom leading your eye up to the center. I think it's a really nice card, and it's one of those, it's like $1 for this card, which just sounds like a steal to me. And then we got this Magmortar, another one that has a very painterly feel. This one feels a little bit more like a watercolor. It looks beautiful. I really like the fact that there's 2 Pokemon in it, and again, we're getting some of that practicality, that real life Pokemon use. Like, okay, it's a flame Pokemon, and he's starting a fire for warmth. Like, it's funny, it's a little comical, and the colors are nice. I feel like the colors in the background do a good job again of separating the Pokemon in the center. We have a little bit of that vignetting again on the bottom, and it just looks nice, and it's one of the more unique card arts. I don't see too many cards that have this sort of watercolor feel, and I like it. It's bright, it's colorful, and it is again about $1, like less than $1.50. Next up, Meditite. This card is another one of those cards where the Pokemon's just kind of hanging out, and there's, I think, another Pokemon in the corner. Is that another Pokemon? That is, right? Or is that just a bird? Because sometimes it's hard to tell. Honestly, I swear, a Pidgey and a Pidgeotto and a Pidgeot, it's just a bird with a nice haircut. That's all it is. But anyways, the Meditite, I like how he's kind of got his eye open. He's peeking out to the side. He's like, what's going on? There's a nice little, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it makes the image a little bit spotty, but to the artist's credit, that those spots of light peeking through, you just know that there's leaves up overhead. So I don't know. I kind of like this card, and it stood out to me. And it was another card that was like $1. So for $1, it was shockingly cheap. This Miltank is a nice looking card. It's a very warm feel. It's a sunny outdoor fall day. You can see those colorful leaves in the background there next to the barn. We got some reds, we got some greens, we got some yellows. It's just the peak of fall. Again, we have a little bit of that sunlight poking in. You can see the little bit of splotches of light on the shoulder and on the arm. I'm assuming that's light. I'm not super familiar with Miltank. Maybe that's spotting, but it looks like just beams of light glistening over and kissing him on the shoulder. Beautiful, beautiful card. He's got this big fat feast in front of him, sitting right in front of a big pitcher of milk, of course. I like this card, this artwork. It's very gentle, very soft, very warm, very friendly, very cutesy. And it's like $1. Again, it's $1. It's less than $1. This one right here, 97 cents. Lightly played hollow foil Japanese, 97 cents. So that is, this is again one of those cards where I look at it, and it's from a good set, V-Star Universe. And I look at it, and it's got just a really nice artwork for a shockingly low price. Next up, I got this Mudsdale. Mudsdale is pretty cool. This card, I didn't initially, when I first looked at it, I didn't realize that there was the smaller evolution next to it trying to kick up a bale of hay, but not quite being able to do it. And I like that. I like that there was a little subtle detail. I like that there's a little bit more detail in this, and you kind of have to look at it. I will admit, from a far away glance, the card doesn't play very well. It's not that great. It's, as far as the design, it's kind of hard to make out what's going on until you really look up close. But when you do look up close, I like that there is a little bit of detail in there to be seen. There's, the house in the background. You have the smaller evolution next to it. I like it. And again, it's another card where we have a Pokemon doing a practical, use of their abilities in the real world. So for that reason, I enjoy this card. And this is another card that we're looking at like $1. So if you like this Pokemon, $1 is, It doesn't really get much cheaper than $1, honestly. So that's pretty impressive for a full art card of this caliber, at least in my opinion. This Nidoking from 151 gets slept on. It's only like $2. Here we go. Here's the chart. Beautiful. Everybody loves the chart. There you go. But I feel like this Nidoking gets slept on because everybody's thinking about all the other cards in 151. Nobody's thinking about the Nidoking, and everybody's thinking about the Zapdos and the Alakazam and the Sunzard and what other cards? Everybody loves the Venusaur and the Blastoise are kind of popular. I mean, everybody's got cards that they like in 151, but I don't see a lot of people talking about Nidoking. And I feel like Nidoking has always been this cool, tough-looking Pokemon, and I like the art here. Again, we get a little bit of that darker background to separate the Nidoking. You notice, like, up here, it's all light, and then in the background, once you get to the Nidoking, it's a lot darker. Now, we do have this little bit of light area that's sort of framing the Nidoking's head, but you see all this space around is also dark, which also kind of frames the Nidoking. It's very interesting. I like the jungle aesthetic of it. I like the look of the Nidoking. It's not my favorite art. I will say right off the rip, it's not my favorite art. I wish there was like a little bit more detail in the Nidoking, but other than that, I do like this card, and again, it's like $2. Next up, another 151. This is the Amite, and this is another card that I think people don't really like. They don't really care about that much, and I think that's probably because, like, again, Ammonite is just a Pokemon that not a lot of people champion. Not a lot of people are like, Ammonite's my favorite Pokemon. And for that reason, I feel like this card doesn't get a lot of love. But I gotta say, I really do like it. I like the fact that, again, you can see multiple Pokemon in frame. It's an underwater shot. You're shooting up. I like that those little ripples in the water and how it looks with the light rays coming through. It looks great. The only thing that I will say is I kind of have mixed feelings about the color palette. I do like the card. I like the card. But I do wonder if it would look better if the water was blue and not green, because the Ammonite blends in with the green. The green kind of makes it look like it's dirtier water. I think the blue would have made the Pokemon really pop off the background a little bit better, and I feel like it would have contrasted, and the complementary colors would have looked really good with some of the other Pokemon's colors, and the orange on the Ammonite shell, like all that orange and the brown in the front, I think would have balanced a lot better with blue, especially because you're underwater, and this is like brown and greens, and when I think brown and greens, I think like forest vibes, so it's a cool card. I like the design. I like the artwork. I just kind of wish I could see the same card, but with a different color palette. This is the Paldean Tauros. I've talked about this card in another video, so I'm just going to be real quick when I talk about it here, but I really like this card. I think it's beautiful. Ever since I saw it, it just punched me in the face. The red and black contrast looks great. The light rays coming from the sun, as well as the Tauros, all the Tauroses in the horde leading up to the main Tauros that's backlit by the sun, all of the leading lines, the Dutch angle, all of the Tauruses have these nice beautiful highlights on the back of them because it's just backlit by the sunset. Another sunset Pokemon, I'm a sucker for those, and we get these silhouette Tauruses in the background here. I just really do think that this card is a beautiful card, and I love it. I think it's awesome. I really do. This is one of the cards that as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, I like that." And I don't know if I'm the only person that feels this way. I don't own one for my collection yet, so it's not like this thing that I have to run out and grab, but this was a card that really just smacked me in the face when I saw it, and for that reason, it's always stayed with me, and I've always enjoyed it. Next up, I got this Parasect from Dark Phantasma. Now, this card, another card that if I were to make a custom 151 set, I think I would put this card as the card for Parasect because I really like the artwork. Again, we have a little bit of those subjects leading your eye into the frame. We have the Parasect, and then we have the other Parasect with the trainer in the background, and then we have just the trees and the mushrooms in the background. We even get some mushrooms in the foreground. There's a lot of color variants here. There's like blues and greens and reds and oranges. And this is one of those cards where if I was going to make a custom 151 set, I think I would use this card because I don't know of many Parasect cards that are this good looking. And if you know of any full art Parasect cards that look amazing, please leave them in the comments. Or if you know of any full art Parases that look awesome, please leave them in the comments. But I feel like Parasect is another Pokemon that doesn't get a lot of love, doesn't get a lot of attention. So here you go. It's in this video right now, and I think that this is a great looking card. This Pikachu slaps me in the face. This is another one of those cards that every time I see it when I'm scrolling through TCG Player, it just punches me in the face. And I don't know if it's because it's just this big full art with a big Pikachu dead center, or if it's just because it's a nostalgic art that I grew up with. But either way, this card always grabs my attention. Now, I don't think that this is going to age well. This is probably, in my opinion, one of the least exciting cards on this list, personally, in my opinion. And I don't know if this was in the original card artwork or not, but we even get bonus Pokemon. There's a Caterpie in the tree. We get a Butterfree up top here. We also have a Parasect in the back. So I don't think those were in the original card artwork, but I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. Next up, I got this Toadcruel. This is another newer Pokemon that I'm not super familiar with because I'm like a older generation type of guy. I don't know half these new Pokemon, but this is a Pokemon that I assume is from like one of the other regions that's kind of like one of the other, you know, like Vulpix, Alolan Vulpix. I feel like this is just like a different like Tentacruel, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong at that. I don't know, but I do like the artwork. I know that much. I love the colors here. The reds and the blues of the sky and the greens, and we get some pinks in the head. It's just the colors really look good. I don't know why. I just love the look of the sky so much, and I feel like this is probably one of those cards that looks really good in person. I don't know why, but something about the pictures, it just strikes me as one of those cards that's even better looking in person. Could be wrong on that, but yeah, Toadcruel, it's a good looking card, and it's going for like $150, so that is pretty inexpensive. This Smeargle has always been a card that, again, stuck with me ever since I first saw it. I'm a sucker for that wide angle perspective, and this definitely has it. We have the trainer in the background, it looks like, and I really like the fact that the trainer has this kind of Where's Waldo looking attire. I think that that's funny, and maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe that's what the trainer always looks like. I don't know, but I think it's funny because this frame is so disorienting. There's so many things in the frame, so many different colors, that the trainer is actually well hidden in the background. So I thought it was funny that they kind of looked like Where's Waldo. And I know I said that this is kind of like really messy. There's like a lot going on in the image, but the image finds a way to do a lot and show a lot of different colors and design patterns and all this stuff that could be visually disorienting, but it does a great job of keeping your focus where it should be. The use of the colors and the perspective, I find that your attention doesn't get distracted from the Pokemon. First, it starts on the Pokemon and the canvas, and you see what he's doing, and then it moves to all of the excess and all of the other stuff and the visual feast that is there. But it really does start with that focal point in the kind of in that rule of thirds in the top right corner there, and then it sort of blends your eye down to the trainer into the background, almost like the what's it called, the golden spiral Fibonacci sequence, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, that being said, it looks great. Looks great. I love it. I think it's beautiful. Smeargle, one of the Pokemon that I still remember, like right before I kind of hopped out of Pokemon for a bit. This was one of the last Pokemon that I remember, just because, you know, it's got a paintbrush for a tail, and it's stuck with me. I don't know. So that is Smeargle. And yeah, those are my cards. So that is it for my video. Let me know what you thought of these 25 cards for $2. I really do like all of them, even the Pikachu. I know I said like, oh, I don't know how I feel about it, but the nostalgia factor. The nostalgia just hits, and maybe again, it's definitely just nostalgia talking, but I feel like it'd be kind of cool to see more older artworks revitalized into full arts. Just take beautiful old artworks that we had, like this Dark Crobat, and just make it a full art. You know what I mean? That would look sick. Some of the artworks are so good. Like Pokebeard the other day was talking about this beautiful Dragonair artwork and how it's like his favorite or something.
What do you think is the best Dratini or Dragonair card printed? Whichever you like more. Super good question. And the answer is this right here. And that is the base set, but we're going to take a little peek. The base set Dragonair, the first Dragonair, is the best Dragonair. If this card was like a full illustration rare or a special illustration rare, it would just be absolutely beautiful. This is my all-time favorite card. Like in all of Pokemon history, this is #1.
And I gotta say, a full art like this would be beautiful. They would be beautiful. I love the old artworks. Again, just nostalgia talking. I'm rambling. If there's any videos you want me to cover, leave them in the comments. Maybe I'll get to it. No guarantees. I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I am going to go make myself some chicken parm and mimi.